Hello, and thanks for watching the Yearbooking Report. I'm Scott Giese, and this episode is a very special compilation from our first season of shows, featuring great interviews, tips, and ideas for any yearbook advisor and staff. So, grab a pen and paper, or maybe your favorite device, and get ready to take lots of notes from terrific people in this business, people really in the know in yearbook and student journalism. Yeah, this is what I really call a fill-up. So, ready? Here we go. Well, with a new year beginning, the biggest challenge for most yearbook staffs is just getting off to a good start. What you do in these first few weeks could set the tone for the entire year. Recently, we spoke with a 7-time winner of the Jostens Yearbook Program of Excellence Award to get some ideas from her on how to get things really rolling.
I'm Kimberly Bowser. I'm Yearbook Advisor at Port Allegheny High School in Port Allegheny, Pennsylvania. We actually pick our staff in April the year before if they apply. They don't just sign up, and they fill out an application. And sometimes if I have a student that's very, very involved in other activities, I don't usually take them because I don't want them stretching themselves too thin. Most of my veterans sign up again, and those are the students that I choose. Usually choose one editor-in-chief. I have had co-editor-in-chiefs. Sometimes I have somebody that's very good at the part of talking to other students, where the other person's good at the organization, so I'll pull those two together. I did that the last 2 years. This year I have a student who I think is very good at both, so I only have one editor-in-chief. Veterans can apply to be editors of different sections, like sports editor, music and drama editor. They're in charge of their individual students that are on their staff. Everybody is on the photography staff. Every student takes pictures. Every student goes out to events. Some of them they're pre-signed up. So if we have our sport calendar that comes out in the fall, our editor-in-chief will sit down and actually sign everybody up for various events. So not one person is taking all the pictures. Now, if somebody wants to take pictures, they can very well sign up if they like, but everybody's responsible for taking pictures. And if they don't show up for an event and haven't found a replacement, they get a red card. And that red card goes, I have a little chart on the wall, and it gets slid in there, and they can get rid of their red card by offering to take over someone else's slot. We have a book, a binder, that has a whole calendar. Each week is done on a page, and when the editor-in-chief sits down, and all the events get written into that binder, and the editor-in-chief will assign everyone to anything that's pre-scheduled, sporting events, drama events, music events. When let's say a pep assembly comes up, that would get written in when we find out about it, which is usually about a week in advance. We'll take volunteers at first who want to take pictures, and then if we don't get volunteers, we'll just basically assign people. And then that's also, people are told that staff is told to look at that book on a regular basis. Our photography editors try to remind them the morning of or the week of events, but it's still the staff's responsibility to make sure that they're free and that they come and they pick up their cameras to take pictures at the various events, and if they don't, they get a red card. The veterans usually take on the rookies. The hard part is getting the rookies willing to talk to them and ask questions. We have some social events. Sometimes I've had pancake breakfasts at my house, which we have for dinner. We have a Christmas party. We have a picnic at the end of the year. The kids love those events. Rely on your staff. Pick good people to be your staff. If you run into issues, lean on the rest of them. Try to keep it organized. Don't try to do everything at once. Don't try to do everything yourself. Listen to your staff. The red card idea came up last year. The assigning of things ahead of time came up, like we would assign a couple weeks in advance prior to that, but now we're doing an entire season. All of the season is assigned in advance. My staff came up with that idea, not me. After 13 years, new idea. So you got to listen to the staff. Especially the kids that have been through it before. Keep everything. Keep every file you create, every form you create, every document you create. Don't get rid of it, don't dump it. You'll probably need it again. If you do a fundraiser and it's successful, keep all of your records and do it again.
You know, it's interesting how technology has really changed things just over the last 20 years. But one thing will never change in yearbooking no matter what. Pictures will always be the #1 element of the yearbook. And yet, a lot of yearbookers still take rather dull or uninspired images despite all this new technology. Recently, we spoke with a veteran photojournalist and photo instructor on how you can up your picture game right now.
Hello, my name is Mike Mclean, and I'm a freelance photojournalist based in Dallas, Texas. The most important thing, and I think this is one thing that really lacks with our young photographers that are covering a high school event, is I want to know, I got to know what time the event starts. I have to know who the key players are that I want to be photographing. I want to know the contacts, the people that we're featuring in the story. So what I try to tell my young photographers to do is get as much information about an assignment before you take that assignment on. And it may mean talking to an assignments editor, it might mean talking to a reporter. The more information I have going into an assignment, the better the photographs are going to be. Covering the next thing, and this is something that I learned from my old picture editor at the newspaper that I was working at. He used to tell me that there are no bad assignments, just bad photographers. It's our job as photojournalists to go into an event, whether it's an academic event or whether it's a sports event or whatever it is. It may seem like it's boring, but there are all kinds of photo opportunities that are unfolding before your very eyes. It's our job to capture those photo opportunities. And that means that sometimes we have to make a photo visually interesting by finding an unusual angle. Sometimes it could mean that we're looking for an interesting expression. So those are things that I tell my students to look for. The other thing, whatever you're covering, I think it's important that we cover an event from what I call a spectrum coverage. That means that we're not just covering the action of an event, but we're also covering the reaction of an event. So sometimes the action of an event is vastly more important than the reaction shot. Sometimes the reaction shot tells the story, and the reaction shot's the photograph that we want to use that drives the narrative of the story. And the very first thing I do when I walk in and I'm covering an event is I will shoot a wide shot. That means I'll stand in the back of the room and I will, photographing, like let's say a volleyball tournament, I will go up to the top of the volleyball stairs where the arena is, and I will photograph a wide shot, and then I come into an event. And oftentimes the reason I shoot a wide shot is not necessarily that I want to use that, although many times that wide shot, or in the world of photojournalism, we call that our opener shot or an intro shot, that shot gets used, but what it does is it sort of gets me into the character or the mindset of shooting photos. Then I'll go to a medium shot. So that will be 3 or 4 people, and if it's before an event, and by the way, another tip for photographers that are photographing these events is that I always tell people the good photographers arrive early and stay late. So I'll get there as the basketball team is warming up, and I'll shoot a wide shot of the arena with everybody there, and the thing that does is it acclimates people to the fact that I want to be shooting photos. My high school journalism teacher required us to get a wide shot, a medium shot, and a close-up shot. And she would require us, even if it was a shot that was completely ridiculous, we were required to get a wide shot. And she said, if you want extra credit, get verticals and horizontals. So we would get verticals and horizontals, and that really helped with as we were developing the content or the design, so that we had a huge amount of images. What I generally tell students to do is to shoot photos until you know you have a moment. So that means that avoid scatter shooting. So that means that photographers, if you see something interesting that's unfolding before your camera, try to grab that shot, and if you miss it, never set it up. The best thing to do is to wait for that expression to come back, because we're all creatures of habit. And if you wait long enough, then you're going to get an expression that will bring that image back for you. So it's like that's one of the essential things I tell my students to do is your wide, your mediums, your close-ups, and be patient. Good photographers are patient. That means sometimes it takes 15 shots and sometimes it takes 100 shots. But ultimately the most important thing is to be on the hunt for moments. And moments are those things that evolve slowly.
I've been doing this for 2 decades, and one thing I've found a lot of yearbook staffs really struggle with is yearbook design, page design, theme, and so on. Really have problems. Well, recently we talked to an award-winning creative expert on how you can immediately make a better yearbook with better design.
Hello, I'm Rick Brooks. I'm Jostens Creative Design Manager, mostly for the northeast part of the country. You know what, I truly believe there is one reason that it's difficult. It's because we look at ourselves for inspiration. We look at last year's book for inspiration. We look at the year before last. We go back in our own best stuff and try to replicate that stuff again and again and again. And sometimes the stuff was great, but we don't tend to improve it. There are ways to improve absolutely any design, no matter how fabulous it is. There are ways to do that, and it's really being inspired by other stuff. Other people's stuff, just inspiration, not taking it, but actually being inspired by it. And that's kind of the most important part, is to develop your concept before you start making pages and putting text in, is to get that idea down and then put it on the screen. That's the first step. The other step is to actually use elements that enhance the goal, which is to show the photographs. The first key thing is the photography. There still needs to be a dominant image. It doesn't have to be an entire page. It doesn't have to be 2.5 times, which is what we said for a very long time. It doesn't have to be 2.5 times the size of anything on a page, but it needs to be larger. And in contrast to that larger image, there should be an image on that page that's smaller. It's a subordinate image in the same proportion as that big image. If those two things appear on the page and 10, 5, 8, 16, it doesn't really even matter, smaller images surround it, it is pleasing. That's kind of how to develop that pleasing design, to get one thing larger, one thing smaller, and then fill the rest in. Sometimes there should be things that are the same size. If there's a thematic reason to do 3 images in a row, 4 images, whatever the thematic reason is. But for basic design stuff, everything should have a variety of shape, size, and proportion. There should be vertical images, there should be horizontal images, and square ones. There should be a good variety. And if you really look at photography, because we crop things, they're all a variety of images. We're never just to have all squares in life. We have different things that are very horizontal, or things that can be cropped to very horizontal. And we really ought to crop images, because a lot of them are taken with things like a phone, and people don't crop them at all. They're just all horizontal images, all the same, and phones have become so great and so used for photography in the classroom that everything we're getting is a horizontal thing. And that's a bad direction. Turn that phone sideways just like you would a camera. People typically don't do that. There's got to be a headline. Every page, every double page spread ought to have some headline and some comment. There should always be something. Not just for journalistic reasons, because these are journalistic things, but for design reasons. If you have great images, if you have a student at your school that can take great photography, and I know a lot of us do, that ought to be featured. That should be the goal, to use it when it's beautiful.
In all my years in yearbooking, as soon as I mention the word writing, most students will give me a glazed look, or they'll just look down. He's not looking at me, he's not looking at me. But yet good writing in any yearbook is so vitally important. It fills in the missing information that the pictures don't tell us. Recently, we talked to an acclaimed author and instructor who showed us why good writing in any yearbook is really important.
Hi, I'm Bobby Thorn. I'm a writer and writing instructor from Austin, Texas. The purpose of a yearbook is not for next year, it's for 30 years from now. That's the purpose of the yearbook. It's something you keep the rest of your life, and if it's good enough, you'll thumb through it, and it'll remind you what it was like to be there at that time. So you can't do that with photographs alone, because your memory is going to fade. You're going to forget who people are, and you're going to forget what the sound and the look and what people were talking about and all this other stuff. So you simply cannot produce a yearbook without words. But it's not just, they'll think, well, we're just going to put some words in there. And then it'll be like what I'm talking about a minute ago. It's just this static, dead on arrival words, The purpose of the art club was to allow students, again this year, as in last year and every year, to produce art. Or it'll say something like, this year's student council was involved in many activities. Well, every year student council is involved in many activities. So what do you say? What do you write? Stories are almost never in the why, or the when, or the where, or even the who. It's necessary. It's in the why and the how. And that's what if you can answer that question, then you've got a chance to tell somebody something they didn't know. And you have a chance to write a story that's timeless, that captures a moment that's full of heart, and it's full of emotion, and it's full of joy. And sometimes it's full of sadness, but that's the way high school is. You've got that full range of emotions, and that's what you want to capture. Because that's the thing you're going to forget about, and if you can capture it in words, and in picture too, but especially in words, it'll last a lifetime. You have to know who you're going to interview and have a reason for interviewing that person. And then you have to ask that person, you have to know why you're interviewing that person, what you're interviewing about, and then you have to ask a question that isolates a moment. So that you're not writing about the game, you're writing about the play. But you're not even writing about the play, you're writing about what were you thinking during this play. Now you've got a chance to have something to write. Now you've got a quote that you can come back and then do something with it. But if you come back with all these, platitudes, this year we all enjoyed spring break. What did you do over spring break? I went skiing. I went to the beach. I slept. I did this. I did that. You got nothing to work with. It writes itself, which means it's not even writing. It's data collection is all it is. You might as well just copy something out of the phone book. Because it's simply, you've got to have the material to write. So the biggest problem is not writing, it's reporting. Reporting is so weak. But if you can do the reporting, then come back, and really, if you're a beginner, don't even write it. Just run it as standalone quotes. That's what I would do. And here's what I'd say to all beginning advisors: survive. Just survive. Get through the first year. Get a book out on time, on budget. And then worry about anything else the next year. And then add a little the next year, and then add a little the next year, and the year after that. Eventually you'll get there. And every kid's not going to be a writer. So cut your losses. Find out who are the writers. Who are the kids that want to do that? Who are the kids who are reporters? Who are fearless. They go out. They're welcome. They're happy to go out and talk to this person, this person, this person. A lot of kids just aren't going to do it. They can't do it. They just don't have it in them. They'll probably make good editors. They can always clean chalk erasers. I don't know what they can do. They probably aren't going to be reporters, and they may not be writers, so kind of cut your losses. But find the kids who can do it, and then really free them up to do that. Work with them as much as you can to just say, you are my writer. You come back with stories. That's what I want you to do. I don't need you to do anything else. This is your job. And if you'll do that, I think you can get 3 or 4 kids like that on your staff. You're in good shape.
Well, as we cross into January, we're roughly about halfway through the school year. And again, that means a lot of folks are starting to turn in pages for their 2019 book. But what exactly happens at your yearbook facility anyway? What are some important things to know? Recently, we talked to a Jostens production manager who shared some very important information for any yearbook staff.
Hi, my name is Jennifer G. I am a project manager for operations, working with marketing, actually in our Clarksville, Tennessee printing facility. They are your point of contact for yearbook advisors and reps to just help facilitate the yearbook printing process from end to end. They need to know a little bit about a whole lot. They need to know what happens at summer workshops and how that process goes all the way from the very beginning all the way to the end of what it takes to get a yearbook shipped out of the plant on time and meeting the customer's expectations. So they have to be familiar with the production process all along the way. They need to be a little bit of an expert on print quality, a little bit of an expert on technology, a little bit of an expert on just problem solving, anything that an advisor may come up with. That's what they do. One is to help the school stay on track. We're trying to help you guys eat that elephant of creating a book one bite at a time. Years and years and years of doing yearbooks, we know that a school year is going to go much better for a yearbook staff and their advisor if they're able to break it up, and those deadlines help do that, and it helps you enjoy the process a little more rather than being at crunch time at the end. For the same reason you would encourage your students or your kids, if you're a parent, not to procrastinate till the very last minute, because it just causes stress and it's not as good as it would be. We encourage that, just to help you break it up. Not to mention your students are going to be able to capture moments like homecoming with a lot more feeling and clarity right after it happened, rather than waiting until they've been away for the holidays and had all kinds of other experiences and don't remember it with that same passion they did right after the win of the homecoming game. If you don't hit deadlines, it is much, much harder for us to get you your book on time. That is the number one thing. If you don't hit your deadlines, there are simple mechanical reasons, several steps and processes that it has to go through. If you don't hit them, then we can't commit to that date that you originally were shooting for. They're such a talented group of people, and all of them bring so many different talents to the process. Our artists travel to the workshops, to a lot of workshops, so they're able to meet with schools directly. And if you met with an artist, you understand, how fun it is to see them, a bunch of students in a room explaining and saying, what about this, what about that? And, the artist is working away on their computer, and then, or even drawing. Many of them actually can do it by hand as well. Most do it with technology now. And then they turn that computer around and they're like, yes, that's exactly what I wanted. They're able to capture the feelings and the emotions and just exactly what the school wants. So they'll go out to workshops to meet in person. We do live artist sessions in plan. We even do virtual artist sessions. Where if you just can't make it to a location where your artist is for whatever reason, you can set up an online meeting. Where they have a video just like this, and they're able to design your cover as you're describing and brainstorming. The other thing is, because they work with so many schools, and many of them have been doing it a very long time, they really have firsthand knowledge of what the trends in yearbooks are, because they're working with several schools and they know what the students are asking for, and so they'll help and suggest things and help you figure out to accomplish what you want with your cover to make it unique, while also capturing our great cover capabilities that we can do with a cover that nobody else can. They know how those things work, and they can help bring your design to that.
Good marketing and promotion is frankly something that most yearbook staffs really don't do very well. Yet it's very important for your entire effort, and it's a lot of fun. Recently, we caught up with one of the top yearbook advisors around who shared some great ideas and tips on how you can up your promotion game.
Hi, my name is Ava Basu, and I'm the yearbook advisor at Grand Blanc High School in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Nobody knows how hard yearbook staffs work. No one, unless they're on a yearbook staff, they have no idea how much work and how much love we put into what we do. So we look at promotion at my school as a way of sharing what we're doing every day, and sharing our photos and sharing our stories. And so for us, it's less about like what we would call marketing and more about sharing our work and letting the school be part of the community and sort of like building our own credibility within the community. We have a yearbook week, which is the week before our yearbook prices go up in January. We will take an entire week off of yearbook production, and we push pause, and everybody on the yearbook staff takes part in an entire week of all kinds of marketing. So we might, everybody might print off 10 of their favorite photos, and we put them on a hallway, and they stay up on a hallway. So you have 600 photos on a hallway, and we thank the entire school for letting us photograph them and tell their stories. And at the end of the week, they can take the photos down. There's a philosophy that when you put a poster on a wall, it becomes part of the sort of the background noise, and nobody pays attention to background noise. There's kind of a theory that we have here, which is if you're going to do any kind of physical posting in the school, it should stay up for no more than 2 weeks. And so I actually have 2 marketing editors on my staff whose full-time job it is to come up with different marketing campaigns. So they might do something like they might put flyers up around the school, interesting flyers, to remind people of deadlines, but then those flyers come down. Or they might do like a really big handmade, like a kind of a really beautiful poster, and they might put it up. It might be 12 feet wide by like 6 feet tall, so it's really big. They might hang it in a place where everybody can see it, and then it comes down. Or they might do like lockers. On everybody's lockers, they might put up a small flyer over and over again, repetition, so that when kids come into school in the morning, they might see, all the lockers are covered, and they might remember a deadline that way. So I do think that there's a value in posting, but not keeping it up for too long. What are the social media platforms where students live, where do they dwell, and then where are parents hanging out? Because we really need to kind of appeal to both audiences. So we will have, like at the end of this year, we will sit down and we will talk about, where do we need to be posting things and what kinds of things do we need to be posting and where, because as we know, older people, parents tend to be on Facebook and kids tend to be on Snapchat. We have a crossover on Twitter and on Instagram, and we want to have a strong presence on all 4 of those social media sites. The best way we've connected with parents recently is through snail mail, and I know that sounds crazy because we've had junk mail and people tend to throw out junk mail, but we tend to handwrite things now and send them home. So we might do like in February, we always do a postcard. And it's just we pay postcard postage, and we send home a postcard to any kid who has not bought a yearbook. We send it to their parents. And on the backside, we'll write that their student has been covered in the yearbook, and we'll count up how many times. So 3 times, 4 times, 10 times. And we'll actually tell them, you're on these pages, page 22, page 38, page 145. And then we'll give them the information for how to order a yearbook. So we actually have found that mailing things home and handwriting them will spike our sales also. It's just fun. Like marketing and promoting is just fun.
Here in February, but maybe most times of the year, getting your students motivated to go out and do their best yearbook work can sometimes be a real challenge for most advisors. How can you get your students doing their best work every single day? Recently, we talked to a top veteran yearbook advisor who shared some terrific ideas and tips.
Hi, my name is Mitch Eaton, and I'm the journalism advisor at Kirkwood High School in Kirkwood, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis. I think motivation has to be intrinsic, and by that I mean it has to come within the kid, but I think the ownership has to be editor and student leader driven. The advisor, the teacher, has to give the keys to the leaders of the program, and they have to be the ones kind of organizing the fun, planning the fun, so to speak, so that the staff remains motivated. One thing we do is I think you have to celebrate. Yearbook's a tough thing. The kids have amazing fortitude to work all year on this huge project, and then in one day the book comes out. So you have to schedule rewards along the way. So after each deadline, we celebrate by recognizing the top producers of the month or of that deadline. So we'll recognize the top caption of the deadline, the top headline, the top photo, the top design. We'll give a spirit award for the deadline. So recognition is very powerful. Nothing's more powerful than praising students in front of their peers. It's a great motivator. When we get together, we do a late night once a month to work on our spreads, and we'll do theme nights, 80s night or Disney night, and we have our parents bring us food. Food is probably the biggest motivator for teenagers, that's no secret. So any type of reward like that is also positive and keeps them going. Recognizing kids on social media is another powerful kind of newer motivation. So all of our programs promote our staffers of the week and our photos of the week via our social media. So not only is that motivating, but that's powerful branding for your program. Really keeping Yearbook and the weekly conversation of your student body is important, so that it doesn't just become a one-day-a-year thing. It's a weekly, sometimes daily thing in your school. Part of our motivation is we have started a phone-free Fridays in our program. Kids have stopped allowing themselves to be bored, and the most creative process, the most time you're creative is when you're bored, when you allow your mind to just wander a little bit, and we stopped doing that. So I think that needs to be integrated into your program, so the kids do have a chance to start thinking and collaborating and just being creative. We do yearbook yoga on Fridays every once in a while too, where we just kind of relax and just take a break, because now more than ever, I think the fun, as ironic as it sounds, the fun and the relaxation needs to be scheduled. Kids these days have schedules more busy than adults. They have planners. They're toted from here to there. Everything's year round, whether that's music, athletics, whatever. So I think yearbook, newspaper, journalism in particular needs to be a part of that schedule. But I do share with my staffs that fun doesn't happen unless we're on the mark. If we're not meeting deadlines, if we're not together, if we're always picking up pieces, the last time we have for these fun activities. But I think that tone has to be set early, and I think it does need to be organized, and really organized by your top editors. So within a production schedule, a production cycle, they need to be planning these events on calendars, on weekly organizers, so that there is time set aside. I have an activities editor, in fact. That's how important it is in our program. And this editor is in charge with coming up with the week's games or activities, or making sure that thank you notes are being passed back in a timely manner. So getting some leaders on board is critical, and organization is paramount to make this happen.
Well, again, for Springbooks, this is wrap-up time for the year, but there may be still 2 or 3 months left in the school year. What do you do in that interim time? Don't waste that time between now and either May or June. Put it to some good use. Recently, we talked to a veteran advisor who does just that, and she answers the question, books done, now what?
I'm Savannah Chika. I'm an English teacher at Loyal Sauk Township High School in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and I'm also our yearbook advisor. We do several other things. So one thing that we've already started to kind of work on, even though we're still working on the book, is next year's staff recruitment. So I make my staff part of that process. So one of their assignments is they have to tell me a name of preferably 2 current freshmen, because we like to have someone that can be in there for years, to join the staff for next year. So they have to write them down, they have to figure out who their English teacher is, because I often talk to their English teachers about performance, writing, on-task behavior, diligence, that kind of thing. And then they have to write for me, my staff writes, why did you choose those? Do they have strong writing skills, strong photography skills? Do they have an interest? Are they involved in the school? So then we send personal letters and applications to those students that my staff picked. I also ask our teacher staff for recommendations for that as well. Try to figure out what the staff potentially is going to look like as the scheduling process happens for the school. And then around in a couple weeks, I'll be passing out applications too for any of our level 2s that would want to be in editor positions next year. So that's also an application and sometimes an interview process as well. I also continue to teach things, so anything I didn't get to at the beginning of the year when we had a little bit more free time to learn about some of the ideas and concepts of journalism and yearbook, we do some of that in April. So we'll do some photo projects, scavenger hunt kind of things. We'll refine some of our skills with cameras. We will do some more article writing. So we learned about news and feature writing in the fall, and then we'll do some more editorial type things that we wouldn't necessarily put in a yearbook, but as part of the skill of journalism, because that's an expectation for the curriculum for the course. We highlight our spring sports is one of the major things that takes up a lot of our supplement, and we highlight the other sports throughout the year, so that would definitely feel sort of unfair to our spring athletes. We also do a whole spread on graduation, which is one of the favorite spreads that we get in the supplement. So we want to have that, time capsule pictures from graduation that they're not necessarily going to get anywhere else. We also put pictures from prom. We usually do a spread on our teams that went to states or districts or things like that, because sometimes with our deadlines throughout the year, that stuff hasn't happened yet. So we kind of use the main book as our regular season, what happened, and then any of our accomplishments beyond that in our sports seasons we'll put in the supplement. So sometimes it's like follow-up things from the book, and then sometimes it's things that just time-wise haven't really happened yet. So make sure we highlight things that happen in April and May of the school year. One of the biggest ways that we campaign for things in here are just school announcements, which sounds really simple and basic, but it's one of the easiest ways, especially morning announcements, to just make sure that everybody is paying attention. So we we'll write different silly announcements. We've done some contests before where if you buy your book between this date and this date, you'll be entered in a drawing to win a gift card to a pizza shop or wherever. So we do some incentive programs with that as well. We also usually hand out the in the book flyers with the pictures from students, and they love that. I've made the mistake of handing them out in the middle of my English classes before to students that I have, and all they do is look at each other's pictures and giggle. And then my favorite thing that we do is our distribution event. So we kind of talk about that all year to get into preparation for it, because it is a 40-minute presentation that we do every year. It takes a lot of planning, and the kids get really into it because it's something that the whole school is going to see. So we've already been sort of throwing around some ideas.
Now, hopefully at your school, one of the biggest days of the entire school year is your yearbook distribution day, whether that be at the end of the school year, maybe sometime over the summer. And yet there are too many schools out there where it's pretty much, okay, here's your book, thank you very much. No hoopla, nothing. Your staff has worked hard all year long. That deserves a big distribution event. Recently, we talked to one Jostens advisor whose staff does just that, and it's a day the students look forward to every year.
Hi, my name's Maddie Halleck. I'm the yearbook advisor at Bradford High School in Bradford, PA. It's something that the students absolutely look forward to. Like, Barker Day is talked about throughout the school year. So it's a very important tradition to the school. Secondly, it's an opportunity for the yearbook staff to be able to display the pride they have in this creation that they work so hard on, and it's an opportunity for them to get the credit for it too. And I think most importantly, money-wise, we sell the most, not the most books, but we sell 100 plus books on Barker Day, because the kids see the book, they get to see the cover and see pictures, and then they get the opportunity right then and there to buy the book.
All right, I would like to thank everyone for joining us for the annual Barker Day show. This is an exciting time of the year for everyone, especially for the senior graduating class.
Because there's music we have to pick out and get burned onto a disc. Speeches have to be written. We have tryouts for the entertainment, so we have 4 different entertainment opportunities throughout the show.
It was just like a movie. It was just like a song when we were young.
I have so many performing artists that are just dying to get up there to show us what they have, and now I have to actually have them come and try out on a night after school, and I have the chorus teacher help me, evaluate and pick out who gets to perform on Barker Day. So for each section of the book, we have students do a speech, and we have a slideshow. So basically every section that we have in the book gets a speech and a slideshow with music in the background as the slideshow goes. We actually have 3 screens, and we have the pictures kind of going not simultaneously on, but we make it so they're one at a time. They switch. And you know, the way we have to, our tech guys are great. They help us set it all up. They get us carts with the projectors, and we just use PowerPoint to do it. I mean, it takes a lot of rehearsal. We have so many photos that don't end up in the book. So we really try to pick photos that are not in the book. Sometimes when we have a really good one that we liked that was in the book, we will use it. But we do try to include, we want the students to see pictures that they're not going to see in the book. Signing is that thing that the students really look forward to. And then I still look back at my yearbooks at what people wrote in my yearbook. So I think tradition mostly carries that on, and it's something that just excites them to do. Your staff spent 6 months plus creating this book. This is the moment for them to just really feel the pride in that work. I mean, compared to any other class, the yearbook is something you can hold in your hand. It's tangible, and hundreds of people are going to appreciate it and look back on it. You need to give your staff that opportunity to stand in front of their school, their student body, and say, I made this.
Your yearbook is a work of student journalism, something that will literally last for a lifetime. And student journalism is also a great learning experience, whether it's yearbook or student newspaper, maybe a broadcast team. But at too many schools out there, student journalism is an afterthought. Recently, we talked to someone who really knows about the true value of student journalism.
Hi, I'm Sara Nichols. I advise student media at Whitney High School in Rockland, California, Details Yearbook, and I also am the president of the Journalism Education Association. Well, of course, I think scholastic journalism is essential, and I've felt that way for 20 years, but we're finally in a place where others are paying attention to realize just what a critical role journalism plays in a democracy, and just how fundamental it is, this idea of holding truth to account, right? Like to hold those in power accountable for their actions, and to make sure that people are aware of what's happening in the world around them and just who's affected and how. That is critically important. And it's so helpful now for students to have a way to learn that in school and to have a way to practice it themselves because of the way we're just inundated with media, right? So the media literacy skills are really valuable because anyone can be a content creator, right? Anyone with an iPhone can do absolutely everything that a journalist does. And the scary part is, just because you're producing media doesn't mean you're a journalist, The training that goes along with understanding not only the value of truth and accuracy, but the ethical training and the integrity involved in why you're doing what you're doing and where are you sharing it and why are you sharing it there and what do you want to happen as a result of sharing it. Those things are all wrapped up in what journalism is all about. You're not going to become the know-it-all, do-it-all, amazing program in 1 year. It's going to take a couple years, just like with anything. So set some small, attainable goals and knock those out. Hit the home run, and then a couple more goals, and then a couple more goals. Because once you just do a few and you succeed in those, the rest become the students' goals, right? If you get that core group of kids and you see some excellent journalism from other schools, and you together say, next year, let's just try this and this. And then you do that, then the kids are like, okay, now we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. And they will have goals forever as the program builds. So the next step for the advisor, of course, is getting training. So get some advisor-specific training. JEA has a summer program that's advisor-only. It's called JEA Advisors Institute. It's in July. Students don't get to come. It's specifically an advisor conference. So go learn as much as you can, right? Each of the yearbook companies has those. So for example, I love going to JAU, Jocelyn's Advisor University, because it's just the advisors and they're just hungry for getting better. And you'll see someone who's been advising for 10 minutes and someone who's been advising for 10 years sitting side by side, and they're both just as energized by what they're learning because they're focused on their own programs and how to get one step better and then one step better. And so I think that that's a really good strategy. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Just set some goals, expose yourself with great stuff, get a few kids on board, and then just let it build what administrator doesn't want their kid to have that experience, right? Like if you read every single school mission statement, every district in the country, it's like preparing students for tomorrow, right? Preparing them to go off into the world and be like these highly productive, contributing citizens in a diverse global society or something like that. That's every school's mission. How could we possibly be preparing kids for tomorrow's world if we don't let them make decisions? If we don't let them figure things out? If we don't let them struggle? If we don't let them realize their actions have consequences, right? And I'm not saying, oh, do a terrible story so you can feel consequences, you know. What I mean is figure out how to do the story right, for the right reasons, with the right approach, with a trained advisor, journalistically teaching and coaching and guiding, not controlling or censoring or dictating, but you know, the trained, certified, like highly experienced advisor going through it, you know, on the sideline every step of the way. But the student is the one playing the game, right? Like they're on the field participating while we're on the sideline coaching. What administrator wouldn't want that? How could an administrator argue against that? Like that's what's best for kids. A yearbook is full of heart, right? And so the more you can make it about the heart and the connections between people, it's full of memories of the year. And it's, of course, other things too, right? It's scores and statistics and facts and figures. It's this history book or time capsule. But at the core, your yearbook has to have a heart. And when you approach it that way, from every angle, if it's about the heart of the year, you can't go wrong.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this special compilation of Season 1 of the Yearbooking Report. Now, what can you and your yearbook staff do with this information? Let's go and make a great effort. Thanks again for watching.